Welcome back. We are still working on solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. In today's module, I want to show you just because you use the quadratic formula doesn't guarantee you will always get two real rational solutions. So let's look at our equation. Our equation is x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. As we all know, that's clearly a quadratic equation. It's got the x squared, it's set equal to 0. I want to solve it. Again, pretend I forget how to factor. I know I cannot square root that equation because it has that middle term, 2x. So let's just jump into using the quadratic formula, because the quadratic formula will always solve a quadratic equation. So step one is make sure your equation is set equal to 0 and in descending order. It is. Step two is to write out your values of a, b, and c, and then substitute them in. So if I look at my quadratic equation, a is in front of x squared, so it's the value 1. B is in front of x, so it's the value negative 2. C is the constant 1. So I know what my a, b, and c are. I'm going to substitute them in the formula. So I write x equals. The first part of the formula is negative b. That means the opposite of your b. If your b is negative 2, the opposite additive inverse would be positive 2. Plus or minus square root. Now we're going to square negative 2. So if you look, I put the negative 2 in parentheses so we're squaring that whole number. If you don't put the negative 2 in parentheses, you're wrong. You've written the expression wrong. Then I wrote minus 4. A is 1. C is 1. So I showed those numbers connected by multiplication. All over 2 times A, which is also 1. Okay? Now we know we're going to do our order of operations. We're going to work inside the symbol. So inside the symbol, negative 2 squared. Well, a negative times a negative is always a positive. That makes positive 4. When we multiply negative 4 times 1 times 1, that will give us negative 4. So now I have for my equation x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 over 2 times 1. We're still not done inside the grouping symbol. We got to keep going. We know inside the grouping symbol 4 minus 4 will give us 0. So now our equation is x equals 2 plus or minus square root of 0 over 2 times 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, even though square root of 0 is not on our perfect square list, there's only one choice here. What number times itself would make 0? Very good. It would be 0. So what is the square root of 0? It's 0. So now we have x equals 2 plus or minus 0 over 2 times 1. Now we'll separate this into two equations. X equals 2 plus 0 over 2. X equals 2 minus 0 over 2. Everybody's good? Now we'll condense and put together our numerators. 2 plus 0 would be 2. 2 minus 0 would be 2. So what happens here, adding 0 and subtracting 0 does not change the numerator. The numerator stays 2. So now when you do the last step division, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So you have for your solution set x equals 1 and x equals 1. You have two answers. Every quadratic equation will give you two solutions. It just so happens this time the two solutions are the same. So do you really think it's necessary to write that answer twice? Would you write your name twice on a piece of paper when you're handing in a test? No. So when the two solutions are the same, we just write them once. So we would say the solution here, the answer is x equals 1. So here's an example of solving a quadratic equation where we did not get two different solutions, we got the same solution. So we would say we have one real rational solution. Why the word real? Because the number 1 is on the number line. Why the word rational? Because rational means fraction. And you can write 1 as a fraction by writing 1 over 1. When you get answers using the quadratic formula that are rational, that tells me that you could have solved that equation a lot quicker by factoring. If you go back to x squared minus 2x plus 1, you could have factored that expression using the trinomial rule. So anytime you're solving a quadratic equation and you use the formula and you get pretty answers, rational answers, that tells you and me you could have really solved this equation by factoring it and it would have been a whole lot quicker. Okay, let's go to the whiteboard.